another episode of Roses Are Red podcast with your host, Mrs. Red Rose, her co host, Sam I Am from the Married Couple Podcast, and AC from Midnight Media.
Welcome in, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, Sam.
Yes, I've missed you.
Same. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
And I hope you had a lot of fun with a lot of shots for me.
Oh my gosh, I had a lot of shots. I even bought myself a shot of tequila at the end of the night just because. And that one was for you.
Yes. That's always the best.
Exactly.
So, welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's had a wonderful week. I know it's getting close to the holidays. We are so close to Christmas and so close to
brand new year, man.
Bringing it right. And not only that, our kids to be home for 3 weeks.
You know, it's crazy with my youngest in college, she's like, yeah, I've got the break and, I'll see ya. Or she was just up for Thanksgiving and I saw her maybe one day and I was like, and that was Thanksgiving. And she had to come back up for my birthday just to spend time with me. I'm like, I never see you. You actually have littles at home where they're actually going to be home.
And gonna drive me crazy. Yes, absolutely. I cannot wait for the 3 weeks because usually they get out like around the 20th for December, and then and I always had planned that the 2nd of December they always go back to school. Well, now it's been pushed back to the 7th of December.
Really?
So they get another week.
Jeez Louise.
So I'm like going, you guys really love me. You just really, really love me. Yeah. So, I cannot wait. So as everybody knows, AC unfortunately is not with us today. We do miss you, AC. He's out with some prior engagements and doing some stuff tonight. So hopefully you're having fun and enjoying your Friday night.
'Tis the season for holiday parties. So, I mean, I think we'll probably have to deal with that going forward. I don't know. We don't have anything planned, but
yeah, ours is on Monday. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. That makes it easy.
Yeah, so much easier. But definitely. So boy, do we got a story for you guys. If you guys haven't checked it out, something that's been popping up on Netflix, everybody has been ramping about it, and it's JonBenet. I always want to say Burnett, but
JonBenet Ramsey.
Which was a beautiful 6-year-old that was in the beauty pageant industry. And did you know she had a middle name named Patricia?
I did not know that. Well, that was her mom's name, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And John, but I'm telling you, I want to put that R in there.
JonBenet. Yes. Yeah. It's very French.
Yes. Well, she combined his name and her last name together, and that's how they came with that name up.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. And I watched the Netflix documentary, and I don't know, did you watch it?
I did. All but like the last 5 minutes.
There's a couple things in the media that it said. It kind of pissed me off. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Me too.
That they took it and twisted it so bad. And if you guys haven't watched it, this might be a little let you know that we're probably gonna pop your cherries on that one.
It was a spoiler alert. Yes. Well, and it's funny. I mean, you and I were probably 17 when this happened, right? We actually were. Not probably. We were. Yes. And I remember it coming out, and I remember thinking it's got to be the parents. By all reports, it has to be the parents. And then watching this, and we'll allude to, or we'll get to that too. But watching the documentary, you're like, it definitely fucking wasn't. Now they did act a little odd, and we'll go into that too, but I don't believe it was not one bit. And I think the Boulder police did drop the ball on the total investigation. So
100% they did. They absolutely did. I'm just, with the parents thing, I'm kind of confused. Like I got the feeling like maybe it could be just because of the way they acted and the way they were. And then, we'll get into what they did after she passed away, what they did. But the fact that they took certain parts that it was so innocent, and things that we look at that we're like,
Right.
no, and we'll get
Exactly.
into that.
And yeah, we will. And I mean, I believe the media, especially, and a lot of people demonized her being in pageants.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the suggestive clothing. And as I was watching it, I was like, it's no better or worse than a dance costume. It's no better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Cheerleading
honestly,
outfit.
they weren't revealing, you know what I mean? I've seen worse on, Honey Boo Boo or,
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
and that was
No.
well after, that all happened. So, I mean, I don't know. It to me, maybe it was the times, it was the 90s, but I mean, I felt like we
I
were a little
mean,
past that in the 90s, but maybe it was because we were in our teenage years and weren't thinking about it.
but I mean, you look back at it and you go, okay, cheerleaders
Hmm.
were, pretty short skirts. I mean, granted, they have little tiny bloomers that they call them
Or
underneath, but I
Spanx,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's not different, than that. Or I mean, the bikinis. I mean, at
Right,
17, did anybody check out the bikinis and the bathing suits the kids were wearing at the beach? I mean,
right,
now, it's
exactly. I
not a
mean,
big difference.
when I was or in the early 80s, when I was little, I mean, at 2 years old at the beach, I probably only wore, bottoms, because,
Yeah,
they're, and I'm sure I have pictures of me at the beach with only in bottoms because nobody really, or maybe they did, but we didn't think about it back then. I was just like, I ain't got nothing up top. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and honestly, watching, yes, you dress up little girls for pageants, you dress them up for dance competitions. I saw today, when I was at the grocery store, for my day job, a girl walked in, full face of makeup, hair in a bun. I was like, oh, she has a competition today. Or even young girls cheerlead. Some girls start off at 6 years old and still wear the cheerleading outfit. So, I mean, what's the difference? Why are we demonizing this one thing?
yeah, and not only that, I mean, look at her. She was a gorgeous
She was
she
so
was
cute.
gorgeous, a
And
beautiful 6-year-old.
honestly, back then, I mean, I remember the story, but I never knew exactly what happened. And we'll get into that. But I was just like, that poor baby in her last
Yeah,
hours,
yeah,
that poor
definitely.
baby. I, you know, I would probably vigilante somebody if I figured out it was them. So,
Right? Yeah,
seriously.
and we'll get into how the parents reacted after that, because that to me is a little odd
Mhm.
on the way that they acted, and I find that very strange on how, this whole thing, like I said afterwards, there's so many things that I find odd, and like I said, yes, the police department did fail this
Yeah,
little girl.
they dropped the ball
Absolutely.
completely.
Yeah. So her name was, John Burnett, but I'm telling you, I wanna add that R. I
JonBenet.
Benet, Patricia Ramsey, and she was born August 6th, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. She was the younger of 2 children of Patricia, which we know her as Patsy. Um, and so that's how we know her, and then John is the father, and he was born in 1943. So, they, she had an older brother, and his name was Brooke. He was born in 1987, which was the
Mhm.
older one, and there's, I guess, I believe, another child, but they didn't mention them in the documentaries that I was looking, and I think that's the stepchild.
Between Patsy and okay, so the Patsy and John had 2, Burke and, JonBenet, but, John had older children from a previous marriage. So,
Previous marriage.
there was a son and a daughter, and the daughter had passed in a car accident, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Prior to JonBenet being born, one of the things that they did say in the documentary is that, they felt that JonBenet would feel that they were sad, about, her sister's passing or whatever, and just be like, "Oh, I can feel that," and was empathetic and would just come snuggle them, in that feeling. So, um, That's why, so when JonBenet was buried, they buried her in Atlanta next to her sister. So
Okay. John was a businessman who was the president of Access Graphic and
I don't know if it's
computer
just
software
my end, but you're cutting out a touch.
company. Okay.
You're
Okay.
frozen on my end.
There we go. We good. Sorry, I lost you for a minute.
Yeah.
Am I frozen?
Oh,
Is that better?
yeah, I think so.
Am I back? Okay.
Yeah, I think you're fine. Yeah, you're back.
I don't know what's happened. So I apologize, folks. I don't know what happened. Probably some, maybe talking about the computer stuff. They must said, you
Glitch in the matrix. Yeah.
know what? Click. Let's take her off. And so right. So he worked. He was a president of a computer software company, and his first marriage. What is going on with my system over here?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I apologize, folks. It was just fine. Okay, I'm good. Am I good?
That sounds way better. Yes.
Okay. I apologize, everyone. I don't know what's going on here, but my technology. And he ended up in divorce in 1978, and then he remarried in 1991. Then he didn't remarry at that time. He moved in with Patsy, his second wife, which is JonBenet Ramsey's the little girl, his mom, Patsy. And then Patsy would enter her in a lot of beauty pageants. She was known as the beauty pageant mom. And she won lots of titles. The title of the American Royal Miss, Little Miss Chevrolex. Did I pronounce that right? And then she won another title of Little Miss Colorado State All-Star, Kids Cover Girl, and Tiny Miss Beauty. So she won quite a few pageants. Very into pageants. And she, like I said, she was a gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful girl. Just amazing. So from there, then we'll take it to what happened after the beauty pageants on December, I believe, right? December 26th.
Right. So on the morning of December 26th of 1996, well, the night before was Christmas. They had gone out to dinner, come home like normal. Everybody went to bed, getting ready for Christmas morning, or after Christmas morning, or after Christmas. They were going to go the next day to do something, meet the older kids to do something. And Patsy wakes up in the morning and goes downstairs and was just kind of doing normal morning things. And she finds a note, and it's a ransom note, and they realize JonBenet is not there. It's saying, give us $118,000 and we'll return your child. She's fine, blah, 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 all the things. So they immediately call the cops. The cops come over, and they said they'll call later in the day to figure out where they're going to drop the money. So, John, her dad, gets the money ready. They call the cops. The cops are there. The cops at this moment, their friends come over because they are treating it as a kidnapping for ransom. But to be fair, in that area, they had maybe one murder a year, not many kidnappings. This is not something they were used to dealing with. However, they didn't, treat the house as a crime scene, which to me, even if it is a kidnapping, I thought, why wouldn't they treat it as a crime scene? Right.
Right.
I mean, because it is. They took a child from there. If you should be at least getting evidence, and searching every room. So later in the day, most of the detectives have left, or there's only one there, and John's trying to figure out, or kind of in her way, and she goes, "Why don't you just go look around the house and see if you find anything?" And he goes downstairs, and he sees that there's a window open in their basement, and then he goes into this room, and he finds his daughter, and immediately, because it's his baby. I mean, she had duct tape on her mouth, and she was, tied up, and which again, it's really kind of sad. She was tied up, but he just picks her up and brings her up to the cops. At that point, then they make the house a crime scene.
Yeah, and here's the note that they left here, which I know that the police found it kind of odd because just
the
prior,
amount, yeah,
yeah, John pointed out to the police on the scene, the amount was nearly identical to the Christmas bonus of the prior year.
But they also said that if somebody was in the house, that was on his desk, and if they were in the house prior to them coming home, they could have totally found that and been like, "Oh, that's a good number. I know he has it." You know?
Yeah.
So, it's easily it's easy to point fingers that, oh, that's his Christmas bonus, but it's also easy to say, oh, well, it wasn't that hard to find. Somebody who was there could have found that information and used it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in the documentary of the story, it said that when they got home, there was nothing on the kitchen counter. They went upstairs. When they came back downstairs, there was like a bowl of pineapple or something like that. There was like, in the documentary, they were saying there was something they found different, like a fruit or something she absolutely loved. So I saw that part, and I was like going, okay,
well,
well,
and
could have
that's
you
kind
just
of
passed?
right. You could have probably not noticed it, or, yeah, I'm not sure. That is one of the things that they were CBS actually, and we'll get there, and we'll just go here. I mean, from the get-go, we'll just start here. From the get-go, the police believed it was the parents. And because they believed it was the parents from the get-go, even the detective that told John Ramsey to go around the house just to get out of her hair, went on TV and did an interview saying, "I know, I looked in the face of the killer."
Right, and that's when they thought it was the husband who did it.
Yeah.
That's when everybody was like, "Oh, it's the husband, he did it." And you know what? At first I was like, when I looked at their demeanor on how they acted, on how they did the interview, like, I didn't see any I don't wanna say any norm, but any person that has someone like their daughter pass away would be hysterical, would be crying.
I think that because of their affluence, Patsy had access to maybe some medications to take away those tears. She seemed on one of the interviews to slur her words and was very detached. And I think sometimes taking a medication to detach yourself does that. I mean, you know what I mean? Anxiety or depression or whatever medications, if you're not true, like, have a chemical imbalance, they can really detach you, right? And I think that's kind of what it was. That's how initially I was like, ugh, what, and I came into this thinking maybe they did do it because of the media spin. And
boy, did they know how to spin it.
they sure did. Well, and the cops in this instance, they came up with their own narrative and fed what they wanted to the media. And they were, judged in the public opinion of completely, being guilty. And to be honest, I don't think John Ramsey would be doing a documentary if he did this many years later, almost 30 years later. You know?
Right? It's been a long,
Yeah,
a long time.
1996 was 28 years ago, almost
You know,
29 years ago.
but I'm wondering if because the wife has passed on, um, does that have something to do with it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, the one cop had his theory, that Steve Thomas, they even went on Larry King together, and his theory, and he stuck by it. He dug his heels in, was that JonBenet peed the bed. She had toileting issues, and Patsy got enraged and killed her. And to cover it up, she then strangled her and made the scene. There was no potty in the bed. Let me be a mom and say potty. There was
yeah.
no pee in the bed. You know, it just wasn't the evidence. I feel like they came up with a narrative and they tried their damnedest to get that fucking narrative to fit the evidence, and it never did.
Well, and the fact that, I mean, like I said, they dropped the ball. They didn't, what do I want to say? They didn't check the whole house. You know what I mean? To find her downstairs in the basement, I mean, you go in every room, you would
Right.
figured you would go down to the basement. I mean, uh, kids like to play hide and go seek sometimes, behind the washer and dryers, or you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, we're, at that age, it was like that was the thing to do, is go downstairs in the basement to hide anyways. When you
Oh,
played
yeah.
hide and go seek in your house.
Our
If it wasn't
playroom
that,
was
it
in
was
the
the attic.
basement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that surprises me that they didn't go downstairs and check first.
Right.
It really surprises me a lot. It surprises me that it took them about 7 hours after that phone call.
Well, I think they were truly treating it at face value that it is a kidnapping, but one would think you would search the whole house to see where the kidnapper gained entry. If there is any evidence of of foul play other than him just the kidnapper nabbing the kid. I mean, what was the motive? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I understand
definitely.
that, John Ramsey was, again, he made a good living for himself and whatever, but he wasn't that important to steal his child.
Uh, it, well, and I mean, that's like a part of too, where at first I thought, well, maybe someone from his work,
Right.
maybe it was like somebody who was upset at him, and, you know, came in and they knew they were at this Christmas party because they were at a Christmas party, or maybe that. So, I mean, there's a lot, and I do have the 911 call
Oh, that's good.
that was played on CNN. So we'll go ahead and play that here. And we'll listen to this real quick.
Police, what's going on? 515th Street. What's going on there, ma'am?
It is one of the greatest unsolved crimes in history.
There's a ransom note here.
Home Christmas night.
It's just like you got hit in the stomach. Where's my child?
Hours later, she's found strangled to death.
I couldn't do anything but scream.
Keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
That right there, like, that clip there of the mom crying,
Mm-hmm.
like, you really see her feelings there,
Absolutely.
So then we'll keep going here.
Surreal images of the pageant star transfix the nation.
We were staged, Mother.
Probably. What's wrong with that?
No charges have ever been filed. Nobody ever convicted. Tonight, the theories, secrets, and bombshells.
Which, here, let's play this part here.
Hurry. Patsy.
A CNN special report, the murder of JonBenet.
God, what a beautiful little girl.
I know.
God, she's so gorgeous.
Well, and her mom had just gone into remission with ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
And so she had just gotten out of that battle. one of the things, that they did together was the pageants. She had a new lease on life. She was happy to be, alive and had more time with her kids. I don't know. It's really sad.
A lot of people thought that it was the brother at one point.
It's crazy that just in 2016, CBS aired a special saying, what if it was Burke? And, it could have been, and they referenced the pineapple and said, oh, they think she took part of his pineapple and, he just enraged, smacked her over the head. I don't think a 10-year-old would even, no. I
No.
mean, siblings fight, whatever. There was nothing to show. And it's sad because in the documentary, they were talking about after, it all had gone on, they were going and getting school supplies for Burke, and they had their basket full, and he had all his things and was excited to start school. And even though it'd been a shitty year because his sister it was the next school year, on all the tabloids were like, her brother did it and had his picture and all the things. And you know what? Fucking leave the kid out of it. Why? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You don't need
I
to
mean
be that salacious.
No, and the thing that really made me upset, and if you guys have watched this documentary, the thing that made me really, really
Oh, you're cutting out again.
They were trying to say, oh, it's because she wore these provocative.
Where'd you go?
There we go. I'm right. I don't know what's
Okay.
going on. I apologize.
It was like Max Hedren.
Right? Bloop. That kind of made me mad. It really made me upset. And then they took this one piece where she's playing the saxophone. And if you know anybody who plays the saxophone, they get into it. They're moving up and down. They're all over the place.
Well, how many people go up? They go down. They go, whatever. That's how you play a fucking saxophone. Yeah.
They took that clip and made it horrible. Like
Well, it was the Geraldo
provoking.
Rivera show, and he did a mock trial without consent of the parents, without anybody. And they studied all these things. And this one woman comes on there and she's like, I watched 26 hours of her in pageants. And the day before she was murdered, she was singing at an old folks home. And she, for a minute and a half, played this saxophone. And he goes, well, what do you find from that? He goes, she was masturbating with it. And then you're like, wait, what the fuck? Well, how did you get that out of a little girl pretending to play a saxophone and singing a Christmas song? There was nothing to allude to, even not remotely to that. It was so fucking stupid.
For them to say that they were doing it for these older folks, like, are you kidding me?
Well, okay, I don't know if maybe it was just my school, but when I was in, I wasn't 6, but when I was like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, we would go to a nursing home and we would sing and we would do, like if it was talent show time, we would, perform our talents and do all the things because they like that. It's entertainment. It's something, they're alone in a nursing home. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't that be acceptable? You know what I mean? Chris, my uncle says, sorry, Geraldo is a horrible human and that lady is nuts. Yes. Yeah. I agree. I was like, how the fuck did you get that from there? I played the saxophone. Actually, I played Chris's saxophone. He played it too. Anyone who has ever played a saxophone knows that, you get into it. And she in no way was being sexual in that moment. It was innocent and cute and something. If my kid did it, I'd be like, oh my God, that's so adorable. You know what I mean?
Well, how many times during Christmas do you go to, I mean, I know when I was a kid growing up, my parents, they would take me to go to the nursing homes and we would take them, little tiny little stocking stuffers, or we'd take them flowers and we would have a little note and we'd say something. But it wasn't like, the way that they put this thing, just it really just it made me so mad for them to turn it around that horrible. And I mean, how many kids have at that time when we used to have a band or music
Yeah,
class? I mean, we'd get into it, you know?
absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, they and there's that couple in the documentary that did a few books about it. Their last name was Singular or something like that. Um, and they kept hounding on the fact that, oh, she's in pageants, oh, she was sexualized, and blah 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 blah. And I agree. In some respect, all children in pageants or even in dance are put into that situation. They're meant I've seen littles do dance moves that I'm like, oof, you know what I mean? Um, however, again, looking at her costumes and all the things, she wasn't overly sexualized. I mean,
No.
what toddlers and tiaras, there was the mom who put her child in a Pretty Woman costume, like from Julia Roberts when she was the hooker. And
Yeah.
and it's and that in a way, I mean, but it was meant to be a joke or whatever, I've heard or whatever. But I mean, that industry, it is playing dress up for the kids usually, and again, the costumes were not overtly,
No. I
they
think it's
weren't.
worse now
Oh,
than back then.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's a lot worse now than back then. I think,
But
now
yeah, I
it's
mean, and again, in that situation, in any situation where a child is performing or doing whatever, it is going to attract, the PDF files.
yeah.
It's going to attract, they're going to garner more attention, and it's easy, and because they are out there. And I believe, to me, this case, it was somebody like that. I mean, that John Mark Carr, I don't know how they haven't found him guilty yet. That was interesting to me that he had all those conversations with that one reporter guy, and he's openly said he was in love with JonBenet. He knew her
Oh, yeah.
what her nickname for her grandmother. And that was something that wasn't public,
And then had a
and
shrine of her in his house.
yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that I think that they need to continue to look into. A few months back, I read an article that her dad, John, every time there's a changing of the guard as far as district attorneys go in Boulder, he contacts them and says, I still want you to keep looking into this. This is something that I want, he stays on top of it. And, I'm hoping that they can, because they've put out a new thing where they're going to try to get more evidence out of the evidence that wasn't processed. So let's hope.
Well, we can only hope and pray that they find justice for her and find the true killer that's out there. And
Mhm.
like I said, in the beginning, you look at the mom, and now, if you put the medication in there that she's over, then yeah, you make two and two together, right? Because in
Right.
the first video, when she first comes out, she's bawling,
Yeah.
and then you go into like the second, like other interviews you see her calm, collective, her eyes aren't, but at that time, nobody ever said, "You know what? Patsy was under a lot of medication. She was also diagnosed with cancer. She had that medication on top of this." Like, nobody ever they failed to mention that, and I
Well,
think that's why people thought that she was like, maybe she had something to do with it.
well, okay, I understand. And an attorney, especially when you're being the one who is suspect number one, right? Prime suspect. Any self-respecting defense attorney is going to say, "Don't talk to the police. We'll figure out what you say and what you don't." What I didn't understand and still don't, and would love to ask at some point, why they were so in the media. They were doing interviews, they were talking to the media, they were doing all the things, And if you're not, I mean, don't get me wrong, they were still cooperating with the police. They were submitting handwriting samples. They were doing all the things except for, speaking. And that was going, and it's not that they weren't cooperating. They were just having it go through an attorney, but they were also very upfront on the media and doing all the interviews and all of that. And that was just a little bit weird to me.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure why they did that, but maybe they thought, well, I've got nothing to hide. Let me just.
It could have been something where they're like, well, is what it is.
And they didn't seem, it was hard to be, and again, because of the media spin, I feel like it was hard to be empathetic towards them. And I was just telling Dave as we were finishing, as I was coming back here to get on this, I was like, I feel really bad for her dad because he didn't lose just her. He lost an older child prior to her. So he has lost 2 children and a wife in his lifetime. How sad is that? I mean, this man has experienced quite a bit of loss.
Yeah. And like I said, I'll be very honest. If they come back and say, oh, well, he had something to do with it, I find that that's going to be very hard. I find that that's going to be hard to believe, because like I said, in the beginning, when you look at the things, when you look at what's going on, you see her, she's like happy, she doesn't look happy. She just looks peaceful at ease, but she was highly medicated. And I think that's what the media never told people. Cause I always thought, oh my God, she's at fault. Look,
Well, I mean, I don't believe, I mean, I did too. I believed initially when they first, when it first came out, both parents were probably to fault. And then when they spun it towards her, because, DNA didn't show it was her dad, could it be that she was jealous of her? I mean, could it be a Gypsy Rose type of a situation where she's either jealous of her fame, she's jealous of her being close, not in an icky way, but close to her, her father, it could be a number of things. We've done plenty of stories about moms who've gone nuts on their kids, but I don't I don't really think, I mean, looking at all the evidence that is out there now, I'm not so sure it was her. I don't think it was her at all.
Now, like I said, now that I dug more, like in the beginning, like I said, I was very like, oh, it is, it's her. She had something to do with it. But then, you start reading into more of things. And, and like I said, the media did say, oh, maybe it is the mom that was jealous of her. Could it be? You know what I mean? They always put that little, I always call it like the little roach that they sit there and they, and then they let everybody kind of run with it. Like I said, that scene that they did, there was nothing sexual about that at all whatsoever.
No.
And for them to turn that around and say, oh, they made her do all these things. No, they did not. They did not. And it makes you think what else the media puts out there for all of us to believe when it's maybe not, the case.
Exactly.
And like I said, she was a beautiful little girl that if you look at the outfits that she did, I mean, they aren't even half as bad as what they are now.
Right.
I mean, now they're pretty bad.
I know. For a dance mom, there were some costumes that with my kid, I was like, are we sure we want to do this? You know what I mean? So
I'm trying to pull up a picture here of her in her costume so everybody can see what she looked like. Cause I'm telling you, the outfits now are a lot worse than what they were back then. At least I believe so.
I agree too. I agree with that.
I mean,
and I do believe the police had their own narrative and they were for the longest time were trying to fit their narrative to what the evidence was, and it didn't fit. There's nothing wrong with that. I wore something like that when I was a kid for dance.
Yeah, there's absolutely no whatsoever. Look at, she's covered. She looks like Dolly Parton.
I know.
That
too. Very, yeah, Southern Belle looking.
I mean, look at this outfit. Like,
Yeah.
looks like, 4th of July. I don't see nothing wrong
Mm-mm.
with any of these outfits. I mean, it's just like I said, it's so sad what they've turned this into of her being, all this sexual thing, and I don't see it.
No, I don't either. I mean,
I think they're very cute, and I don't know. It's sad. It's sad that this is what we've come to.
well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is very sad.
I mean, do you think that the police, maybe because it was Christmas, they just wanted to hurry up and get it over with?
I don't think so. I think I think initially they had all of the best of intentions. And then when they royally fucked it up, they dug in their heels and were like, well, it's got to be this. This is how we feel. There's no, we screwed the pooch on this. We tainted all of the evidence because we let people in the home. There were people over there before before they realized they had found her body. There were people over there consoling Patsy and John. They had, they let their friends come over. They had food, they were bringing casseroles, whatever you do when, bad shit happens. And, I think they went, we can't look bad, so we have to spin this in our direction. And I hate to say it that way, but the evidence points to it. And that Steve Thomas guy, he's a putz. He's the one who had the theory of the toileting issues, as he kept saying, which is fucking pretentious in and of itself. But he doubled down on that and was like, this is what I think. He even wrote a fucking book. During an active investigation, they did sue him and they settled, and he refused to even come on the documentary because he's fucking putz. He's wrong.
And and here's the thing too, their house wasn't like a huge house either. For them to even remotely say we missed a corner. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a big house.
They didn't even look.
Yeah. I mean, it is a big house, but it's not like acres and acres of,
no,
like here. This is their house on the back.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they
go ahead.
One of the things they did say is that, that they said that they'd found like footprints or something, right? Because in the snow.
See, okay, here's the deal. There was a light dusting of snow in the front of the house, and there was no snow in the back. But once they had decided to pin it on the Ramseys, they had told the media, well, there was no footprints in the snow in the back. There wasn't any fucking snow to be footprints.
Yeah.
So they were giving misinformation. One of the things I thought that was telling of it all is when they did get the DNA evidence excluding the Ramseys, they didn't even release it. It said they had nothing to do with it. They never released that their DNA did not match what they found in her panties and.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Nothing matched. Not even the little boy, right? Even the.
Nothing matched. Yeah, it was not. Now they also believe that because put it through, like the 23andMe's and the ancestries to at least to get a marker, but so they've excluded people when they maybe shouldn't have, but it was clearly not a match of a familial way. There were no family ties in the DNA. So
yeah, they didn't find anything, but they did find like a speck of blood on the rope, I think it was, but it didn't match anybody in the house.
Right. And the DNA in her panties and the DNA under her nails did not match. So,
I mean, and you would see if the parents had scratches from her because she had the
Mhm.
DNA in her nails
Mhm.
or in her brother.
Right.
And the fact for them to even try to pin it on these parents, I think it's disgusting first to begin with because
Well, I mean, we've done enough of these shows to know that, a lot of times, I mean, it could be, a lot of times it is. A lot of times it is a family member, whether it's the parent or an uncle or whatever. We did the the story about the mom um who had the child, you know what I mean? She wasn't supposed to be with him, or she wasn't supposed to have the custody, and she ended up starving him to death and all the things.
yeah.
So yeah. Um, so I mean, it's not unheard of. And a lot of times when things like that happen, especially with her being found, I can see initially why they were like, oh, it could be because she was still in the home, right? But
Mhm.
rather than following the evidence, they followed what their brain said. They were very emotional in all of it, I believe. And because they showed their asses, I hate to say that, they did dig in their heels, and they were like, nope, this is how it's got to be. This is what it is.
Yeah.
This guy, though, I don't know. I think he just wanted 4 squares. You know what I mean? 3 squares and a cot. He wanted to be, he was homeless.
This is the
But I
one that
mean,
he did it, right?
huh?
He's the one that confessed, right?
Yeah, just say he said, "I'm gonna confess as long as you put me in jail and you feed me 3 meals a day,"
Yeah.
which is sad. I mean,
He
they
just looks
found him
like
in a tent, you
he's like,
know.
I'll take it. Look at this. He's like, I'll just take
Yeah,
it.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I really, for me, I think that John Mark Carr guy is the one who did it. I'm surprised he's not been arrested yet. They did extradite him back here. He was in Thailand I mean, he had multiple conversations with that reporter from England. Um,
Trying to remember who John Mark Carr was.
he is the one who had the conversations with the guy who did the documentary about the case, because the guy who did the documentary was, I think his name was Michael. Um, he um, he did the documentary because he felt bad for the parents because of how it was handled, and so he became very involved in the case. And about 2001 is when he started or John Mark Carr, under the name Daxis. It was like a
Uh-huh.
screen name. Started emailing this man, saying, "Hey, I did this, blah blah blah. I was in love with her. We were in a relationship."
Yeah.
um,
With a 6-year-old.
yes.
Yeah.
And he had an autoerotic asphyxiation kink. However, it was to see her body. It was just very sickening to hear. But he detailed how her end of life happened. He also gave details about what she called her grandmother, which nobody, it was not, that was not put out there. He was using even back into, I mean, he was being, very good at tracking or covering up his tracks of where he was. He said he was unfindable. And then after Patsy passed, 9 years after JonBenet had been murdered, he had asked for the last picture of Patsy and and JonBenet. And they sent it to a P.O. box, but it was in Bangkok. And he picked it up on his bicycle, and they were able to surveil him for another week. And he was a teacher at an all-girls school in Bangkok. And they actually had got him on video with a girl on his lap. And when another teacher came in, he pushed her away, like, don't see me doing this. So then they extradited him back here, but they have, because the DNA was inconclusive, he was never charged. But they're hoping with the new DNA evidence that they can get him
Get him
convicted.
charged.
Hopefully, yeah. I think he did it, to be honest.
Yeah. he could have. Did you ever hear when a couple years ago they thought she was actually Katy Perry? Did you ever hear that
What?
story that they
No.
so a
Really?
couple years ago they thought that she was never murdered, she was alive, hiding
Oh,
a whole,
okay.
conspiracy. And they actually took a picture of her and they put it up against Katy Perry and said it was Katy Perry.
Oh
They
my
said,
gosh.
and that was it was like a big thing in the news. I remember watching that. I was like, "Are you guys for real? Like, are we really going there with this?" And this is, they were comparing her to Katy Perry.
Oh my gosh, I just see Dave sent me something on like theories of who killed JonBenet.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I guess it was a 2014 video that claimed that that they staged her murder. Now she's Katy Perry.
Yeah. Everybody was talking about. I mean, I
Jeez
remember listening to
Louise.
this story and going, "Are we really for real?"
Oh Lord in
But a
heaven.
lot of people thought, "Oh, it's Katy Perry." And for a long time, the story ran for a good minute, you
Yeah.
know. And I
Wow.
just remember hearing it and I'm just like going, "Oh my God." It's just a big conspiracy theory that they've claimed. And I was like, "Wow, really?
That is
Really?"
nuts.
The
Well,
things people come up with.
what I liked is that there was that one detective, Lou Schmidt, that till his dying day said, I am going to figure it out. And he even had made his kids promise to carry on um, his investigation on this. The Boulder police, there was marks on her that were consistent with a taser. And why would a parent need a taser to subdue their own child? They wouldn't. Um, so so he found these taser marks and he's like, hey, this is a thing. They did all the investigation. They even, when they brought the grand jury up against the Ramseys, he petitioned to be able to testify and initially was denied, right? And then finally that he was allowed, but he was very much treated like a hostile witness, treated very badly. And he truly saw, he goes, I really, he goes, I feel bad that even when Patsy passed, he goes, I talked to her uh, almost the day before she passed, and I promised her I'd find her killer. And again, he passed in 2010 of cancer, because cancer is a bitch. But he brought, when he was in hospice, even he was still investigating and trying to figure out who killed her. Which he was one of the only ones in that area who even did not go with the narrative of the Boulder police. So
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, look at these outfits. To me,
I
I
know,
think so cute. And I think that this
and
is
again, it's not suggestive.
well, and it's innocent. She's actually covered.
That's what I'm saying.
Have you guys seen Honey Boo Boo and everybody?
Yeah, all the
You know,
things.
yeah. No, and like I said, it's sad that they've.
I mean, in dance competitions, I've seen littles like the minis, which are about 6 years old, twerk and do suggestive and to suggestive songs, and it's unsettling. I am thankful that my daughter's studio did not do that for the littles. They were very age appropriate when it came to the dancing. But I've seen some studios just be, I mean, no regard, and again, even as a parent and watching it, I was like, I'm really uncomfortable with this. I would probably not let my kid do that.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I've seen some of the outfits now. I mean, my
And it wasn't
daughter's
even
kids.
outfits, it was dance moves, and I was like, "Whoa." You
Oh
know,
yeah.
dancing like
I
I would in the club, and, these are six-year-olds, and that's not okay.
Well, and a lot they see too, a lot of these kids now are growing up, go on social media, and they see these dance moves that other people are doing, and then they think it's okay. Then they do it. Then their parents go, okay, let me videotape you. And they think it's cute. And you have a, 6, 7, 8-year-old doing these moves, and you're just like, whoa, hey,
Right.
hold on there. Wait a minute, you know, but it's just sad. And like I said, she was gorgeous, most beautiful blue eyes, and there's nothing I saw her parents did anything, you know,
Right.
horrible.
We should do a
At least
shot.
we should. We absolutely should.
We have not done that, and I think we should.
Yes. A shot for your birthday.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. So,
Cheers.
cheers. Happy birthday. Happy
you.
belated birthday.
Thank you. Again, kind of going through this, knowing exactly what had happened to her, I was like, holy, I mean, my heart sunk. And listening, honestly, the phone calls from that John Mark Carr to that reporter were sickening because of the way he described her final moments. And I even though there was nothing showing on the screen, I couldn't even look at the screen, even though, you know what I mean? I just was like, and even the reporter was like, there was a few times I went home and sobbed by the way he was speaking.
Yeah. And well, I just don't know why they haven't done anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, why haven't they investigated him more? Why haven't they named him maybe a suspect? Why haven't, like, now, but back then, like, I mean, he knew a lot.
Even still, the police department, and I hate to be like this, but I'm going to be. I believe what happened is the police department didn't want to have egg on their face for mishandling, and the DA's office, to be quite honest. When they went to indict Patsy and John, and the DA said, I don't have enough evidence to actually convict and to go through an actual trial. There were multiple police officers that were enraged and threw a fit and made a scene. The reason they continued in with the grand jury for the indictment on them is because one of the officers turned in their resignation if they didn't do it, even though they said there's really no case. So it's just really frustrating that they I want to say it's a good old boys club, but it's it was them protecting each other. And we've come upon this recently with AC's friend Brandon. I mean, and the police are kind of digging their heels in on that as well, which is bullshit. And I'd like to say this isn't commonplace, because I mean, it's not all police, but in this instance it was that department who shit the bed on it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And like I said, it's like, if you do watch a documentary, have an open mind, because it does go, like, in the beginning one way, and then once you get to the middle it's a different way, and then once you get to the end it's a whole other way, and you're just like,
I have to say my initial thought of it all was completely changed. Again, I haven't thought about JonBenet Ramsey since I was 17, probably. And I was like, well, it had to be the parents because of the way the media spun it, and because of what the police leaked to the media and what they allowed to get out there, and the way they wanted the media to have them tried in the public opinion. And now that I see kind of everything put forth and all of the things, I'm like, it wasn't them, in
a different light. No, it especially now being an adult, as kids growing up, and this was a big story here in California. I mean, it was all over the place here, and you would hear about it bits and pieces here and there until this day. You still hear about it, especially the beauty pageants. That's
Right.
very here, so you hear a lot about it. And so it was still in the eye, like, there, but I always thought, and going into watching the movie, I thought for sure it was the mom and dad.
Yeah,
100%.
me too.
And
then I'm
then
like, maybe not.
yeah, and then towards the end, I'm like, well, damn, maybe it's not them. Who could
Right.
it be? And then I thought it was the homeless person. Then I was like, well, no, it's not him, because he just
Mhm.
wanted food and shelter. He just wanted to get out of the cold. He
Yeah.
didn't care.
He was like, fuck that.
He's like, I don't
You're
care.
gonna feed me? I don't care if you put me in here for life.
Yeah, I don't care. Let me be here. I don't care. I'm good.
Right.
And then I was like, okay. Then my theory went to, well, maybe it was somebody from his work that maybe had a vindictive from,
Right, a vendetta or something, yeah. Maybe
yeah.
piss somebody off.
So, I mean, it was all kinds of things go through your head about it. And then when they said, oh, maybe it was the brother. I was like, he's 10. I mean, we have done a lot of cases where, especially I come across a lot of cases where it could be a brother doing something malicious, but I didn't see it with this one.
Right. I don't think it is. I mean, the kid was 9 when it happened. I really don't think at all that it was the brother. I think that was to get a headline and to make a salacious TV program. Even 8 years ago or 9 years ago in 2016, when the CBS put the thing up, oh, here's what we think, and they did. It was crazy to me. So Geraldo had done the mock trial, and it was used to, in the public opinion, convict, John and Patsy, and then they do it to the innocent young kid. I mean, he wasn't a kid at that point, but the kid was 9 years old when his sister passed. And they go, here's what we think happened. Let me show you what a 10-year-old kid could do if they hit their 6-year-old sister over the head with a mag light. No, there's no way.
No way.
Also, a 9 or a 10-year-old kid would not have the wherewithal to write a ransom note.
And well,
I don't
didn't
think
they say they
would.
find? No, I mean, well, especially if you look at the ransom note, it doesn't look like a 10-year-old's writing.
No,
Like, not at all. There's no way. And then I was looking at pictures and stuff of it. Didn't they find something around her neck?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a kind of like a wire or something like that.
It was rope tied to the end of her broken off paintbrush of her mom's. And it was so basically they said she was strangled, and they couldn't tell which happened first, but she was strangled because she had all the signs of it from that apparatus. And she also had the blunt force trauma to her head, which could be from a mag light or whatever it may be, or a bat or whatever. But they're not sure which happened first. They said there was asphyxiation along with the trauma to the head. So
There's
it was
a rope.
Yeah.
There's a rope right there.
Yeah.
And some of these, this is a crime. This is the crime scene on YouTube that they have. They posted 4 years ago about this. I don't know how they got the crime scene photos, but
well, I'm sure they're probably let out by now. I mean, there was, I mean, it has been shown. Yeah, it's been shown, but I mean, it was pretty elaborate, the knotting on that. They had an actual word for it that I cannot remember.
Oh yes, the
Like
knot
a
was done by
delote or something like that.
yeah. The knot was done by like it was like a special nodding that only certain people know about, I guess, right? It's like a
exactly.
certain skill that you get taught.
Yes. And so, I mean, I don't know. I did think it was a little odd that her dad went straight down to that room, but as Dave pointed out, he saw the window open and then went into the room. Like, oh shit, this is out of place. You know what I mean?
Which was this can, right here, this paint can
Well,
was
it was
out of
a
place.
suitcase that was underneath the window that they found. And then he went into the room.
So there's a nodding that they were talking about,
And
right
it has
there.
her hair in it.
Mm-hmm. But I mean that guy had a shrine of her stuff in her house.
Mm-hmm.
This was her room.
Well, and when speaking with, there's the suitcase underneath the window to get out. So in speaking with that John Mark Carr, he was like, people say, their house was hard to navigate because it wasn't, laid out exactly like you would think. He goes, but I got in there early. He goes, I got in there at like 5. They left for dinner and I got to roam the house until they came home. Of course, I knew where to go. And he did leave some rope in the next room next to her bedroom. So he didn't get everything out that he was supposed to. Again, this is speculation. He's not been tried and convicted, but allegedly, I mean, I believe he actually did. And I'm sad that he's not behind bars because I think he's not been convicted on any child abuse or anything like that, and that's scary.
Well, they haven't even thought of him as being a suspect, right?
No, they have. They pulled him. They extradited him to the U.S. in 2006, and because the DNA evidence didn't match. Well, the reason it didn't is because they didn't take it correctly, and it was tainted. I mean,
I don't understand right here. Why didn't they? You know what, they saw Boulder. Okay, hey, you know what? That wasn't there.
Yeah, there could be DNA in that, for Pete's sakes.
Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they take the DNA of it? You know what I mean?
Rule it out,
Why didn't they say something about that? Why didn't they?
Again, the police officers and the investigators at the time shit the bed on it. They did not treat it as if it was a crime scene initially. Thank God they took pictures, but I mean, they didn't really. They had people tramping in and out of the place. Who knows? What if it was one of the people who came over to console the Ramseys?
Yeah. I mean,
oh, that was that's funny. So the that Steve Thomas, his whole thing about her peeing the bed, he thought that John or Patsy put JonBenet in the tub to wash her off after peeing the bed and smacked her head intentionally on the bathroom faucet and then moved her down to the basement to stage the thing and then made the whole gillet or I can't remember the name of the thing, the whole rope apparatus to, stage it. But it was clear that she was also asphyxiated at the time she, it was all almost simultaneous that she was asphyxiated and had the blunt force trauma.
Well, here's the bed.
Yeah.
Now, I know when
it look pottied. No.
my kid,
there's no pee on that.
Well, there's not even a stain because when you go pee or you drop water, there's
Exactly.
always like a water stain or I mean, there's just an outline of where they went to the bathroom.
Absolutely, there's none.
I don't see nothing.
And it looks like she was pulled from the bed. That Lou Schmidt said that again, a parent wouldn't have to tase and pull a child from the bed. They could have just lifted her out, and she would have been like, "Oh, it's mom," or "Oh, it's dad." However, if there was somebody else there to subdue her, they would have tased her and then pulled her from where she was sleeping.
And here's a note that they left. That does not look like
no. Well,
a 2-year-old.
Well, no. And one of the things is they thought it was Patsy because they found a start of it in a notebook, in the notebook that gave for a handwriting sample. Well, of course the kidnapper killer would have used a notebook on hand. They're not going to bring their own in. They're going to use hers anyway. You know what I mean? I don't
Oh,
know.
that's right in the book, and that's where they also
Yeah.
found where the letter was written out of.
Yes. It
So
was
you're
one
like,
that, yeah, they were like, oh, she must have been trying to mess up her handwriting.
you're like, no.
No, not at all.
I think this is where they were trying to compare, right? Compare their
Mhm.
her writing against the person's writing who
Right.
wrote that note. These are the underwears, which is
Well,
so
even went so far as to track down the manufacturer in China of the underwear, hoping to find DNA of a person who manufactured them, because of to discount, to make it an innocent reason there was DNA on the panties.
So this is where they tried to say
That's
that
very
there was no,
far-fetched.
and this was a later picture. This was like later on. They took
Yes.
this picture
Mhm.
and they tried to say, "Oh no, this is
Yeah, no, the day of, there was no snow. There was a light dusting in the front and none in the back, especially where it was.
So it was, I mean, they, like I said, the media did a very good job of changing the
Mhm.
narrative
Oh,
around.
well, the police gave the media, I mean, there were multiple times the police would be like, here's some information and some evidence. You didn't get it from me. And it was the only, or it was on the police report and they're like, they leaked it to the media. But when the narrative didn't fit or when the evidence didn't fit their narrative, they wouldn't leak it to the media.
Yeah. So here is, let me play this here. This is, I believe this is new enhanced audio from Patsy Ramsey calling 911.
Okay.
All right, let me,
Make sure you unmute it.
yeah, that would be.
Happy.
So this is like new enhancements of the 911 call
Okay.
that they had. I mean, she sounds hysterical. She
Yes.
sounds like a mom would,
Yeah.
And
I have this note. I don't know where my child is. She's not in bed. I'm fucking freaking out.
yeah. And I also kind of feel a lot of these people like Dr. Phil, Geraldo, all these people that did all these interviews with them. I kind of feel it was more for clout.
It
I
was
don't feel like,
ratings. That's all it was. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't feel
That's
like
all it was.
they really like dug into it good enough to,
Digging into it good enough doesn't get you numbers,
and
is what it seems.
yeah, that is true. But poor little girl, and I hope that they do find it. I hope they do find the killer on this one. And one of the things that I found really odd about this too is that 6 months after they of her death, yeah, about almost 6 months after, they went to their home in Michigan for a vacation, for a retreat vacation in Michigan. Found that kinda odd.
Well, think about it this way. Your child passes. Everybody's blaming you. You're in Boulder, and I'm sure the media has never left your fucking front lawn. Wouldn't you want to leave and get away from the actual scene where it happened?
Yeah, but to a retreat, though?
I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would.
Also, in normal circumstances, okay, so let's just say you have a child and they have an illness and they pass. and you're trying to get over it and whatever. 6 months later, you're still grieving, but you think, fuck, what do I do? Don't you try to get a change of scenery? Would people even say anything if you took a vacation 6 months after a child passed, if it was under normal circumstances?
True.
I mean, in kind of in their defense, obviously they're distraught and whatever, but they also have another child that's still alive that they have to keep living for. They have to,
Yeah.
they can't shut down completely, even though, let's be real, Patsy probably did, and that's why she was slurring and on the meds and all the things. And then but anything that they do is going to be under scrutiny now, because now they're suspects number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I could see that. No,
That's
definitely see that.
that's kind
I
of,
mean, they looked like a happy, beautiful couple, family.
yeah,
Here's some. I'm just gonna play without the sound.
yeah,
Of their Christmas. I mean, he does not look like a
no,
child that wants to do any evil, and their house is gorgeous.
yeah.
I don't know about all that pink, but it's still cute.
I know. Too much pink.
Just a little, but I mean, hey, I've seen a lot of beauty pageant moms. They love that color. Like that's
Yeah. It's very 90s.
and she seemed like she loved her very much.
Absolutely.
And it says she was also fighting. She was fighting cancer.
And at that moment she was in remission, but and then 8 years after JonBenet passed, she did get it back, and it was very aggressive and went to her brain and all the things. So
Yeah, and she passed away at the age of 49 in 2006.
yeah.
So, and it's sad that she passed away without knowing who.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that John said. He goes, I know she knows now, and she's with JonBenet. He even said, even though he's remarried, one day I'll be back with her. I don't know how that looks, but I'll be back with her. And you can tell he truly, I mean, I believe he truly loved her, and I'm happy that he moved on and he was able to find somebody to look past all of the controversy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, beautiful home. I mean, I would have decorated way differently, but again, it was the 90s.
Yeah, and I think this is how it's decorated now, I think.
Yeah, back in the day. I mean, when they showed the ones from then, but it is a beautiful home.
Would you ever buy a home that something like this tragic has happened in?
No, I don't think so.
I'd be
afraid of the little ghost of JonBenet to haunt me.
Yeah. Coming back going, hey, you're my house.
Not gonna lie.
That would, or even the mom,
Right.
Now
I mean, I think they had sold it by then. When they did the grand jury, they actually, which I thought was so weird, they had the grand jury take a field trip out to the home, because they weren't living there anymore, to look it over and see what they thought, and if it could, be that plausible that it wasn't them. I don't know. I didn't realize that they did field trips.
I didn't know that even was a thing.
I didn't either until I watched this.
and so many things, because now, like, if on TikTok and everything you see, or YouTube clips, you see that they have people like the media, like medians, where they're like, oh, we can speak to Brene, and we can also speak to the mom Patsy, and they're now together, and they are, you hear all these things, and you're just going, is this for, like, is it real? Like,
well, a lot of the times, like, when a medium goes or talks to you, they're like, I see a letter T. Does that mean anything to you? And they're just fucking throwing a fucking letter out, right? That's their game. They're like mentalists and things. But what they do is they're like, I see a letter T. And you're like, oh, I had an aunt, or a great aunt, Teresa. And they're like, that's who it is. Were you close? And you're like, not really, but maybe, And then they're like, I feel the sadness. Why would there be a sadness? And then you search your brain and go, oh, well, I, stubbed my toe. I mean, this is just me being silly, but I stubbed my toe one day and that, and she consoled me. That's gotta be it. That's what she's bringing in, and so they feed off of, that they give you very vague, oh, I feel this person, I feel this, I feel that. And you fill in the blanks for them and they just go, oh, that's what it is. Yes, that's what I said. And you believe that it's true, even though it's really you just giving them the information to manipulate and give to you. I think that's what a lot of the mediums do too.
Yeah, little bits here and there, and then they get you.
Yeah. They're smart enough and manipulative enough to go, oh, this is a common thread with a lot of people. Was it sickness? Was it cancer? Blah, blah, blah. So if I was a medium going into this and I was for, the Ramsey family, I'd be like, I feel a pee coming through.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, it's Patsy, my mom. And I'd be like, yeah. They were older, they want you to know that they love you. I'm getting, something with a sickness, maybe cancer, something like that. That's how that would work.
Yeah. Now, I've been seeing a lot of it now, since I was watching the documentary. I swear my phone is hearing everything I'm listening because it pops up and you're like, was I looking at that before? I think it's one of those medium things trying to come through.
No, it's Big Brother is what it is.
Right. And I was watching a lot of these things and they had this sound thing, right? And they would play and you could kind of hear like a voice coming through, the static, and then you hear like a little voice. They're like, no, it's Patsy, and she's saying that she's with her daughter now, and they're finally at ease, and it's the wanting, there's people of the wanting that they want to believe that this is true, because
of course,
like I said, they wanted to believe like Katy Perry was actually her. They wanted to believe that so bad that they ran with that story. And here, like everybody's like, oh yeah, it's Katy Perry, it's Katy Perry.
Right.
And it's the same thing like this, is that the wanting to believe that, that there's a chapter that's going to close, Well, but
I think one of the things that shines to me that makes me think that her parents didn't have anything to do with it, is that, her dad, for one, did a whole ass fucking documentary about it. Guilty people don't typically go, hey, look at me. You know what I mean? Come dig into my past. Also, if he had known or had any inkling that Patsy had done anything, I don't think he would have stayed with her. You know what I mean? And as being married, and it seemed like they had a pretty good relationship. It seems like they loved each other quite a bit. I mean, we don't know. I've not been in their home. I didn't know. But I mean, you know those things about your partner and your spouse, This is
at least from the pictures,
Yeah, I mean, and all of his accounts, he loved her dearly.
Yeah. And it showed that he was, by her side. I mean, he was by her side until
The very end. Again, this is not sexual.
This is the part that really made me
it fucking pissed me off so bad.
Me and my husband were like, are you kidding me? What is so bad about
cute.
This? And she's not even dressed like.
No,
she's now
fully dressed. It's not sexual. Not once does she open her legs and put it between them.
I mean,
I think it's completely fine.
I think it was just taken way, way out of context on this part.
I think sometimes people see sexual things in things that are innocent because they have a nasty mind.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Because there was nothing in that clip.
There was nothing.
No, whatsoever. And, let me see if I can. This is one of their Christmases.
And family, while JonBenet plays with two stuffed animals.
We'd like to welcome you to our home.
Patsy then gives a tour of the house, showing off the lavish decorations with different.
And boy, did she love her house.
She sure did.
She loved her. She was a pageant mom, and she was she loved showing off what she had.
She did.
She's one of those moms that just loved it. And you know what?
She
Good
was
for her.
proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Good for her. She was proud of her kids. She was proud of her husband. She was proud of what they've accomplished and everything they had. But
Yeah.
boy, they had a gorgeous, beautiful house. And, you know, they try to dog her for that,
I
you
know.
know?
I
And
mean,
it's like, why?
it was interesting. One of the suspects was the photographer from one of the from the pageants, and he has since been just recently, like in 2019, arrested because he was downloading child pornography because in a public place like a Starbucks or whatever. And he was one of the suspects that they since have ruled out because of DNA, but they want to go back with that DNA and rerun it because they think it was tainted. But I the
I
people who
honestly
were
thought it was a
talking about it,
photographer.
the people who were talking about it though were like, oh, because you put your child in this situation, la da 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 da. And I was like, no, places like that attract people like that. You know what I mean? If they're if they have a propensity for a young girl, a very young girl, they're going to try to mask who they really are and find ways to insert themselves into situations where they can be around them. It's not the pageant's fault. It's not the dance competition's fault. It's not the parents' fault. It is actually the fucking perpetrator's fault. They are good at finding ways to satisfy their kinks and their depravity. And I don't know.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, just yeah, I thought it was the photographer. I wanna say I thought it was the photographer because they had just caught him with um
The
the porn.
child porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, I assume," but then they said the other gentleman had a shrine in his house of her, and then how he
He
had some.
described in great detail. And now he could have been made it. Now, let's be fair. It could be some rando that we don't know about and we've not heard about. We may have not known the player, but this man may have gone, I know enough about it and I've created this fantasy and here's what my fantasy would have been. It could have been, but there was so much detail in it. Sick
Oh,
and
yeah.
awful detail. However, again, the thing that got me with him is that he knew her nickname for her grandma.
Which is odd.
Right. And the housekeeper goes, "Oh, I know that face. I found him in your garage one day." That Mark Carr, John Mark Carr. He was in your garage one day and I was asking him, and he said he was lost and la da da da. And so he had been stalking them, it seems. He says he wasn't a stalker, but
I think he was.
I think, and he also had been in Atlanta when she was born too. Like coincidence, but he was in that, I didn't mean to thumbs up anything. However, there's a lot of, it could all be coincidence. It could be that he is, yeah.
He looks
He looks like Lester, the child molester.
his eyes with everybody we've seen, they're the eyes again.
I know. Well, the photographer too, he had some eyes too, but this guy for real. And especially because he had been teaching overseas in places where they didn't check his background. A lot of times in all girls schools. I mean, I don't know. All things kind of point to this guy, and for some reason he's gotten off so far. So
and well, especially he had the whole shrine going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, okay, why would you? What is the purpose of you having this?
Right.
So Yeah, I think between him and, like I said, the photographer were both but more I was leaning more the photographer just because they had just caught him with all the stuff that they caught him with, you know?
Yeah, but this guy, I think he did it. Mark Carr, or sorry, John Mark Carr. I can't say his name correctly.
Let's see if I here. Okay, see if I can get this up. This is him and having an interview on Fox News, I believe.
Okay, I will be right back. You play that interview.
Yes.
And
Okay.
Case, John Mark Carr went on the record. John Mark, nice to see you.
nice to see you, Greta.
How you doing?
Okay.
Just okay, or tell me what's going on in your life?
Well, a lot has changed, definitely, since last summer. Last summer, I was working in a beautiful school, and I've been a teacher for 10 years, and so now I'm not, and things are quite different, but it's really nice to be surrounded by family and friends and special people in my life.
You're living here in the United States?
Yes, I live in the United States.
In what city?
Live in Atlanta.
Do you like Atlanta?
Yes, it's been kind to me, somewhat. I mean, in the very beginning, it wasn't so kind, but as a whole, Atlanta's a nice city. It's a wholesome place, and I feel safe there.
Do you plan on staying there, or?
I'm not sure that I'll stay there, but I also have a home in Alabama, and I go back there. I was just there recently, and the people in Alabama, of course, know me. They've known me for years, and they've been very nice to me and kind. And I was in Alabama recently and went to church, and
I can't stand his licking of his lips.
It's so creepy.
It's like like a lizard, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or like one of those men that are at the bar lusting over the young, you know what I mean? They're like these creepy.
I've noticed it. A lot of older men literally do this all the time. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's fucking gross. And I think it's because they have lust in their minds. I have no idea.
Or they're like, you know. It's just so weird. Why?
I don't even know.
I'm trying to see if I can find the part here where he talks about, let's see.
quiet than it used to be, of course. My work was a big portion of that, and I don't have my work right now. Hope to have that again. But I've met a very special girl who's helped me get through this time, which it was difficult to go from being a teacher with a career that I loved and to be back in the United States after what happened. And she's a wonderful girl, and I love her very much. And
he says girl, though. Hold on. He says girl. He does not say woman.
Good catch on that. Let's play back about. There we go. Let's see.
Wonderful girl, and I love her very much.
Do you see how he hesitates to say girl?
Yes. He was like, I feel like he was like, I could say woman and sound better, but I have to say girl because it's the truth.
He was, and he's like, let me just try to get this word out there.
Yeah. Because he means underage, probably.
Probably.
One would think.
Gonna marry her?
Right.
That's a good possibility, yes.
Where'd you meet her?
She extended her concern about what my family was going through, and we met that way.
So like by email or called your house? Or?
She called to my father and to extend her concern about what we were going through, just to say, I'm really sorry that you're going through such a hard time.
Okay, how does someone get your number?
Right.
Where did this girl get your number? How does she know your dad's name and phone number?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Just fast forward a little bit more so we can.
Why is it difficult? Or what makes it difficult?
Well, the response sometimes can be difficult that I get from the public. When I do go out, there are times when it's not positive.
People say things to you?
They do. Yeah.
Like?
I've been called certain derogatory terms that aren't very pleasant. That
Like?
Killer, murderer.
In public?
Yeah. Shouts. I went with
He admitted to it though.
my girlfriend to a
Right?
antique store recently, and the co-owner of the store came in and he recognized who I was. And as I left the store, he walked out of the store and started shouting obscenities to me as I walked down the sidewalk. It was really difficult.
Is it
But,
just me, or does he have a lazy eye?
Let me look. Yeah. Or he's
Okay.
cross-eyed.
Have you noticed that all these stories we've
It's
done
the
with the
fucking
killer,
beady-eyed little fucks. I don't know.
and they're cross, like they have a lazy eye.
They do.
All of them have a lazy eye.
There's a connection, I think.
Okay, as someone who's a doctor, can someone tell me who's a therapist, doctor, or something? Is this something
Yes.
that goes, please? Because if that is it, I'm staying away. Anybody who has cross-eyed, I'm staying away. I don't
Oh
want to
my
be the
gosh.
next one. But his demeanor, the way he's talking, the way he's just speaking, it's just like, oh my God, I just want to
Awful.
smack him.
I do too. He's a fucking.
I just want to smack him.
I do too.
I mean, look at that. Just, ugh.
Well, and he was completely obsessed with JonBenet. Completely obsessed.
Yeah, I wish
he was so upset when Patsy had passed, and what he had said in the documentary was, or during his conversations with that reporter, was, "I'm upset because she can never tell me she forgives me." Are you fucking kidding me? As her mother, I would never forgive.
No, I would want to,
I would vigilante that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I would do what you did to my kid. I'd do it back to you.
Yes. Let me show you how it was.
And let me show you how it feels. What she went through, let me show you what
you
to put her through.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would probably be worse. I fuck that. But I mean, look at his demeanor.
It's awful.
Like, it's his posture, the way, like, he's really thinking to make sure to try to get the correct words out there.
Yeah.
But it's those, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's those fucking eyes, but those do it for me, that it's just like, oh, I just want to smack you.
I'm not going to lie. Any of the criminals that we have profiled, whether it male or female, they have the eyes and they fucking creep me out, and you can tell. You can just fucking tell.
Yeah.
That's why the one homeless guy, I don't think it was him.
Oh, no.
I really don't. He doesn't have the creepy eyes. He just is down on his luck, and he may have an affinity to whatever, but I don't believe it was him. And
it was probably fucking cold. He just wanted a warm bed, and he knew that that's where he was going to get it.
Exactly. He's like, please fucking arrest me. I need food and I need shelter. I don't care if it's in prison for the rest of my life. It's better than the streets.
Yeah.
Seriously.
He must say, you know what? I don't have to pay for anything. I don't got to worry about having a job. I just going to go into, into a place where I'm going to have a bed. I'm going to sleep good. And I'll just say I did it. Sure. I'll take the blame.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. No fucking way.
Uh-oh.
I think, if I'm reading this correctly, John Mark Carr is living as a trans woman now.
Shut up.
I shit you not.
Shut up. Now I have to look this up.
I just found it. Let me see. Where is it? It just said it. It says now living as a trans woman named Alexis Reich. John Mark Carr confessed to the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. That's insane.
Oh my God.
Not that it matters.
But it could though.
Yeah.
Because
well, he says
now that she's passed, now that the mom's passed, is he trying to be like JonBenet's mom? Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, it could be. You're not wrong on that. He could be trying to.
you know, the mom's passed now. The mom's not here. Let me,
right,
play this role. I mean,
oh, he's created a okay,
that's what I would think.
So in 2010,
unless also he.
This is what it says. In 2010, Carr made news yet again with a different ex-fiance, 19-year-old Samantha Spiegel. Sorry, Samantha. Claimed that Carr was trying to form a sex cult consisting of girls between ages of 4 and 8. Spiegel, who was 9 when she met Carr, claimed his mission is to create a cult that he wants to call the Immaculates, of little girls that would have sexual relationships with him and do whatever he wanted and just be like his little minions. By that time, he had also begun living as a woman with a new name of Alexis Valorian Reich. Reported, so the Insane Edition reported that Carr had undergone a sex change and legally changed their name. And that the Monroe Journal also reported in 2017 that Carr was going by Alex Reich, and was biologically a female living as a male. That's confusing. In the end, the truth of his life and deeds are known only to himself. That is insane. He wanted to start a cult of.
Jeez Louise.
Can we just say
I want to know what he looks like. Right?
I do too. I want to know what.
I want to know what he looks like. I mean, I know people are probably gonna be like, "Well, why did you?" I want to know because I want to know if he looks like either JonBenet or the mom.
Or I know.
I want to know either. I want to know what is, because if he's looking like the mom, did he really? Maybe did he have more of a lust on the mom?
Maybe.
Was the mom more the one he really wanted and took it out on this innocent child?
Yeah, I don't know. That's insane.
Oh, well, that's
I'm like dumbfounded now. I just found that.
I don't even know where to go with that one right
I
now.
don't even. I have no idea.
Geez, that's a twist in the plot there.
It totally is.
No,
well,
really
honestly, I don't care what they want to be. That's fine, but don't mess with underage people.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't care what you want to be.
Yeah,
but
just don't mess with underage people,
and you're fine.
Yeah,
and you're good to go. And hey, more power to what you do behind closed doors. Hey, who we're all how you're good. Keep it over there. You're fine. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. Be happy. Be merry and happy.
As long as you don't hurt anyone, regardless of who they are.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now I'm lost for words.
I know. I'm sorry. I was like, what is this?
I'm like, I want to know now what he looks like. So.
I know. Inquiring minds. We're going to have to continue to update this. I mean, as we go forward, I think we should continue on. This has been in the news. It's going to continue to be in the news. They did reopen a cold case to reevaluate evidence that hasn't. So in the original findings, the rope around her neck was never tested for DNA. A lot of the other things were not tested for DNA. Now, to be fair, her dad did kind of ruin some of the evidence when he grabbed her, but I understand he's her dad, and he's like, oh my God, that's my baby. If I can save her, I will. I understand that thought. I do. Which also
technology is
pointed
so
in his,
advanced. And technology is so advanced now
it
that
is. And I think they can find more evidence. And he even said on the documentary, let's go with the 23andMe. I don't even care if you find an exact match. If we can find a familial, we can pinpoint somebody to that point. They've been eliminating people left and right because it doesn't match exactly. Well, it wasn't handled exactly the way it should either. So, I mean, I'm not saying DNA was in its infancy back then. I mean, they were using a lot of DNA evidence back in the 90s. However, if a crime scene was tainted, we need to go back and try to find it and get things done in the right way and not skewed by what the initial gut reaction of the police force was. And I mean, I think I think the Ramseys had an injustice done to them because honestly, had they have treated it correctly and followed the evidence and not tainted it, whether it was intentional or not initially, we probably we would be having a different conversation at this point.
yeah, no, definitely. So, I mean, I'd love to hear from the audience. If you guys get a chance to look at this documentary, let us know what you guys thought about it and let us know what you think
Yeah.
on who the killer is. Who do you think actually did it? There's, if you think the mom and dad did it, if you think the mom did it, if you think the dad did it, if you think the photographer or the bum that was on the street that said he did it. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, I know this is off topic, but my uncle Chris, who commented earlier, he's commented on our show before. He actually was just on a podcast called Close Encounters Club, and he told a story about something kind of weird that happened to my nana, my grandmother, his mom, who has since passed away years ago, but it dropped on Spotify on Wednesday. If you want to go out there and listen to it, please do. I haven't gotten to listen to it yet, but I'm really excited. But to hear it, she knew of her brother's death before it or as it was happening, and and she was like, "Oh, my brother is dead. He's been shot," and I don't know. It was a crazy story, but he tells this story on that podcast. If anybody wants to go out and listen to it, it's Close Encounter Podcast.
On Spotify, correct?
On Spotify, yes.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Because I have a couple hours in the morning to kill right now. So yes, totally down for that one.
I've been meaning to get to it. It's this week has literally been the last week of the annual enrollment period for Medicare, and it's like my Super Bowl. So I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I am excited to listen to it because this is my Nana and I were thick as thieves, and this is not a story she ever told me. So I'm interested to hear it myself. So.
Oh, awesome. So you guys go check that out. Make sure you are following Chris. And let him know what you think about that too. So absolutely. Couple things. Allegedly, before we go, these are a couple updates. Because right now, because of Christmas, our schedules for Mondays is very all over the place. And yes. I've got little ones attending Christmas stuff for them, and Sam's got, this is her last month of before the year ends, so she's busy. AC's busy. We're all busy, especially we have our significant others that we, not only our parts of what we do for a living, plus our significant others, what they do.
We have to do all the things.
Yeah, so we have to break off everywhere. I mean, if there could be a million of me, I'd be satisfied getting everything done. But there's not. There's only one of me, and one of Sam, and one of AC, and one of Dave. So
yes.
So Mondays right now, we're going to pick it up in January. But I do want to tell you, allegedly, from the rumors that have been going on, a lot's been going on with Gypsy Rose. Allegedly, she's already given birth. Allegedly.
Told you.
Allegedly, too. Now, don't quote me on it, but allegedly. Well, nothing's come. She hasn't came out yet out anywhere. She's done no videos, no nothing. Now, she did allegedly, from my sources, beautiful Nina on TikTok that we get all our info on.
She has the hot tea.
Yes, the hot tea.
The hot tea.
Apparently, Gypsy Rose went to go file for assisted living to get under Section 8, just like she did when she was a child. And
oh, wow.
What they had to do is that it was Gypsy Rose LLC. That's how it was known on TikTok. It had the LLC on the back.
Right.
She had to take that off and she's claiming she has no income because it's under a business. So she's claiming she has like, I'm not making any money. So she's asking for help.
Oh, Jesus.
So, like I said, this is all allegedly. This is all it's all hearsay, but check out Nina. She is on TikTok. She's got a lot of scoops there, and that was a new thing that she came out with. It apparently she is now asking for assisted living because she has no money, and she's claiming she is completely money broke. So
that doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't surprise me either. But I'm very curious to find out when this baby, if it's true or not. So I'll keep digging, and if there's any updates for next Friday, I'll let everybody know. But I'll keep digging and finding out. But yeah, she's nowhere to be found. Like, she hasn't came on for quite a bit now.
One would think she probably did have the baby then.
That's what everybody's thinking. That's the talks that's going on that she did.
You don't have a whole lot of time to get on social media when you have a baby.
No. And if she did, then there's probably no time, she's by herself. Because remember, she can't live with him. So she's a single mom.
Yeah.
But now it'll be interesting if they do go with this petition to get this DNA, it's going to stay there. Because she was very upset with Peter Griffin because he was out with other women, and I'm like,
can be. She's said she's having a baby with a whole different person, but I'm sure it's Peter Griffin's, especially if she's had it already, or she was cheating on him well beforehand.
Well, in one of her interviews, I couldn't stop laughing because I was like, "You hypocrite!" We're like, really? Because she was saying, "Well, he needs to respect me because at the end of the day, we're still married."
What the
girl?
Fuck? You've been on fucking all the social things with your new dude, man. So fuck off.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Ain't you pregnant with this other dude? Like, where did you respect him?
Yeah.
I'm
having a baby and it's not Peter Griffin's.
Yeah. Because she was mad that he was booty bumping with some other chick online on TikTok and all over. And he's having fun.
Yeah.
He's single. I mean, you moved on. Obviously, you didn't care right away. So what's the point of it? He took his time, figured things out, and he's having a good old time, So,
as he should.
So with that said, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and I hope you guys enjoy these holidays that are coming up.
Yeah.
And your family, and hug them tight, keep them safe, be careful out there, everyone. And because times are crazy.
Yes.
The crazies come out more around Christmas, I find.
I agree. And if the last few months or couple months hasn't proven that, especially with what's happened close to home, fucking life is short, and hug your loved ones, keep them close. And
yeah.
Don't call the cops if you're getting home invaded. That's all I have to say about that.
With that note, good night, everyone. Much love.
Bye.